Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9, and the title is Nature, the Perfect System Design. Dr. Rao, with your background in systems engineering, how do you picture nature as a perfect system?
I wish I could design anything, even 1/10 of nature is done. System is an organized framework for solving a problem, for accomplishing an objective. And nature has all these interlocking systems that work well together. And it actually has no waste whatsoever, in the system. So nature has the waste from one species becomes the food for another species. So everything is circular. Okay? It's a perfect circular system design. Because of photosynthesis, nature even seemingly violates the second law of thermodynamics. But it actually doesn't, It seemingly violates. Because it's using new energy from the sun in order to maintain life. So it's that the circularity of the system that I was completely in awe of when I started studying nature as a system.
That's wonderful. And in going right into that first quote, if you don't mind, I'll just read the first quote from E.O. Wilson, which states, "Each species is a masterpiece, a creation assembled with extreme care and genius."
Absolutely. Absolutely. E.O. Wilson is known for studying ants. An ant or a fly is impossible for us to design by ourselves. How an ant behaves in a colony and that's what he was studying. So by studying these little creatures, he understood this masterpiece that's nature. So every species is a masterpiece. So when we tear up the ecosystem, when we destroy species, and the estimate is we're destroying 100 to 1,000 species, eliminating them entirely per day. Okay? It's like you're taking a Rembrandt and you're just tearing it up, making holes here and there. It's just mind-boggling to me that we have come to that stage. All because we are following some false myths.
Right. Most of us don't really spend enough time in nature, so it's hard for us to understand how the animals, the trees, the plants, the insects, and us all contribute to this perfect system. So,
correct.
So what are the various roles that create this perfect circular system called Mother Earth?
Yeah, every animal plays a role. In fact, that should be, we taught in schools.
Yes.
We need to teach children nature, and how nature works, right? Every animal plays a role, and maybe even ask every child, assign a child to an animal and go figure out what that animal's role is in the ecosystem. And go research that. And that could be a great project, right, for school children. In fact, I'm thinking that we have cards with lots of animals, and we shuffle the cards and give them to kids and say, go figure out what its role is.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, in ecosystem. Because I studied a few animals, just to understand. The elephant was fascinating to me. Because, an elephant looked into my eyes. Instantly I saw a soul, something amazing in the eyes of the elephant.
Why don't you share a little bit about that story?
So I was a tourist. I had gone on this Palace on Wheels tour. And as part of that, they have an elephant ride. You get on an elephant and you go somewhere. You go up to a fort. So my wife and I got on this one elephant, and she was the oldest elephant. She was the matriarch, I think. The mahout was very kind to her. So he didn't hit her. So the other elephants I could see were being whipped to go faster and faster. So this elephant took her own time. She went very slowly all the way up the hill. And at the end, she drops us off at eye level to her. And she dropped us off, and I looked into her eyes. And then the Mahutas trained the elephant to go get a tip from the tourists. So I gave the elephant a tip. So she picked up the tip and she looked into my eyes as if she was telling me, "You too? You also sat on me?" And I swore at that point, I'll never ever sit on an elephant again. I'll never ever do that. Okay. So she brought me to veganism, in that sense.
Wow.
And then elephants became very fascinating to me because I wanted to study them. And I realized that elephants play such a crucial role in the ecosystems of the Western Ghats. So this is the forest on the southern part of India. And the forest is so thick, the canopy can completely, it'll be 100% canopy. And the elephant goes and breaks branches of trees in the canopy and creates holes in the canopy by doing that. And so she eats the leaves and throws the branch away. Eats another leaf, takes another branch, eats the leaves, throws the branch away. This is how she creates holes in the canopy. And through those holes, the sunlight comes down and streams and nourishes the underbrush. Because without the elephant, there will be no sunlight for the underbrush and the underbrush would die.
Wow.
Okay? And wherever she threw these branches, they start rotting and it becomes a home for insects. Right? And then she eats the jackfruit and she walks 100 kilometers. So about 60 miles, and she drops a poop. And there the new jackfruit trees are born, where the seeds are dropped. So she's propagating the jackfruit. She's jackfruit trees everywhere. Different seeds, okay? She eats other fruits as well, but mainly she eats jackfruits. She eats sugar canes. Sugarcane growing in the wild. Imagine human beings eating the sugarcane without teeth. It's almost impossible because to even make holes in the skin, right?
Strong. It's really strong.
It's really strong. I remember doing that as a child. My parents would cut the sugarcane into little cylinders and give it to us, and we had to chew off the skin ourselves and then eat the inside ourselves. And when you do that, you don't eat too much.
It's true.
Right? You get tired of it. The elephant can take the sugar cane and eat it directly. And so sugar cane is meant for the elephant. Okay? And so all these systems are built in place, in the ecosystems of the planet, so that every animal plays a unique role. And when you study that role that animal played, you realize that animal is a masterpiece.
Mm. And then it even goes further with rain, for instance. How is rain created?
Rain is created by forests, mainly. So there is something called the biotic moisture pump that explains how rain is created. So in the biotic moisture pump, every vegetation is taking water from underground and transpiring it through the leaves. And along with the water vapor that comes out from the leaves, it transpires microorganisms. These little bugs, they become the nucleus for raindrop formation. So the water vapor accumulates around the microorganisms and becomes a raindrop. And as it condenses into a raindrop, it creates a low pressure zone. And that low pressure pulls the water from above the ocean over land. And it creates fresh water. So a forest creates its own rain this way. Right? And as you chop down forests, you're going to reverse this moisture pump. So at some point there will be more microorganisms above the ocean than above land, and then the water above land will get sucked up over the ocean and become salt water. So when you plant trees and you nurture trees and you restore forests, you're actually going to create more fresh water on land. When you deforest land, you're going to create more salt water. You're going to convert fresh water into salt water.
So fascinating. So talking about the animals, talking about the forests, now here comes humans. So what role do we play in this system?
That was one of the major explorations that I went on. What is our role? Yeah, especially after my granddaughter was born, and she convinced me that we also belong exactly as we are in the ecosystems of the planet. Okay. Initially, I thought we are the only species that doesn't belong on Earth because we are just destroying things left and right, right? And if you look at the evidence is telling us that take human beings out and the planet will be fine. The planet will recover. Okay? As soon as you put human beings in, we destroy. And we may have even destroyed it to the point of no return. We don't know, right? But she convinced me that we belong exactly as we are. And we are also, just like the elephant, seemingly destructive, seemingly breaking branches of trees and eating the leaves, throwing the branch away, seemingly destructive. But there is a larger purpose to it. And that larger purpose we'll get into in future chapters. Yeah, but there is a story for us too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, how, and we'll talk more about that purpose that we play in the future, but in 2026, and in the last chapter, we talked about that this was the year that you estimated that 100% of the animals could potentially be extinct from our planet. So now we truly are at this fork in the road.
Right.
How do we reclaim our place in this perfect system?
We have to first understand that whatever we've been doing so far is part of the same perfection. And so there is now nothing to blame, no one to blame. We are part of the perfection of nature. Okay, so start with that assumption. And then you say, what do we do going forward? The elephant stops breaking branches of trees at some point. Because if the elephant continues to break branches of trees, and that's all her job was, she could destroy a forest within a week. Right. That's how fast she could break branches of trees, right? But she stops at some point, and she moves on. So we are at that stopping point. So we have not been breaking branches of trees, we have been breaking branches of forests. That's what we've been doing. Right? And in the process, we have heated up the planet. And now we have to stop and restore. And when we do that, we become part of the perfection of nature. We realize we are already part of the perfection of nature, and then we take our rightful place as a valuable species, not a mess-making species, but a valuable species on the planet.
Yeah, very beautiful. So in chapter 9, you also share that in nature, every ecosystem and every species organizes through a primary code. What do you mean by that?
That's Dr. Shelley Ostrov's work, and she talks about the vitality code. All parts of a living system receive precisely what they need in order to manifest their unique potential in mutual nourishment with the interconnected whole. All living beings receive what they need to give all they can to become all they are. So we have received what we need in order to manifest our unique potential in mutual nourishment with the interconnected whole. So we have also received it. And now we have to give all we can, right, to become all we are. So we have taken all we need.
Yep.
It's that understanding that helps us move forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be sitting here getting depressed about all we lost.
Right. Shorter chapter, so shorter episode, and kind of even a setup episode maybe for for chapter 10. Is there anything else that you'd like to cover in chapter 9?
Understand that you're part of perfection of the system design, that's nature. We are all part of that same perfection. Even all the technology that we have created is part of nature. We have to look at it as how do we use it to help nature thrive. Right? Nothing is a mistake. And that's the one thing that I want people to take from this chapter. There is no mistake in nature.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao, and we hope people will join us because this does really set up chapter 10, which is how humans belong in nature. So we hope people will join us for the next episode. And Dr. Rao, any closing message?
Thank you all for being here with us and being on this journey.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where we eat the same dishes with less awkward conscious chatter. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.